Welcome back. I spent the morning practicing my swing like it was my natural routine. After a while, Rena arrived at school. Our eyes met, but we said nothing. Rena said nothing about last night. Well, yes, it was a little weird. As if it never happened. But I could see that those events were real by the wounds carved into her fingers. Oh yeah, we slammed her hand in the door. I just heard her telling Satoko and the others that the bandages were from hurting herself in the kitchen. Though it wasn't like it bothered me. The details that Oishi-san shared about Rena's incident before her transfer played vividly in my mind. Now that I knew about it, I couldn't even dream of Rena as a cute, ideal girl. But what if people are into that, Keiichi? What if... Kei-chan, I see you're still aiming for the nationals. It was Mion. I had already sensed her approach, so I wasn't that surprised. Oh, Mion. If you understand, then leave me alone. I'm busy practicing. That's a bit rude. I gave her a curt reply without my usual jokes. Then I gave the bat an even larger swing, tacitly keeping Mion from getting any closer. Hey Kei-chan, take it easy. No, you. I think Mion got the message, but she still urged me to give it a rest. Homeroom's not that far off, is it? Just let me finish practicing. I swung the bat even harder as a sign of my refusal. Kei-chan, when did you get into baseball? Just recently. Recently? You mean yesterday? Don't ask if you already know. Rude. Oh dear. That's a very unsportsmanlike reply. You tell him. You're distracting me. Go away. Rude. I ignored Mion and kept swinging. She doesn't look too fussed. Normally she'd get mad or bored and leave if someone gave her the cold shoulder like this. But Mion just stood there, waiting patiently for me to stop swinging. I didn't sense any hostility. But we were at school, in plain view. I doubt she'd suddenly attack me here. Or would she? Or was that too naive? Still, I was starting to get tired. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad to take a break and hear her out. You need me for something, right? What is it? Sweat poured from me as I stopped swinging. I noticed my shoulders were heaving as I breathed. I cursed my lack of exercise. At this rate, I might not be able to move as needed when the time came. I mean, if they got Tomitake-san, he was a lot buffer than you. I should probably keep practicing my swings to build stamina, in addition to the excuse for carrying the bat around with me. Well, it's nothing important. If you're tired, I can ask again later, ? Now is fine. I'm only dealing with you right now because I judged this situation to be safe. Talking to you alone and away from others? That's out of the question. Well, Mion was uncharacteristically trying to choose her words. Rude. But unlike Oishi-san, it didn't look like she was going to talk about something I'd rather not hear. Mion was puzzled, trying to find the right thing to say. But then she gave a hearty laugh to break herself out of that mire. Ah ha 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 ha. This old man's just no good at this stuff. Having a poor vocabulary hurts. What's this all of a sudden? If you have something to say, just say it. Stop it. Stop that swinging. Yeah, you tell him, Mion. She cut straight to the point. Her request was so frank I didn't understand it for a moment. I had already stopped swinging to listen to her, hadn't I? I just stopped, didn't I? That's not what I meant. I want today to be the last day you swing that bat. I'm sorry. It took me some time to understand what she was asking for. What's wrong with swinging a bat? Why? It's none of your business, is it? I'm not bothering anyone, am I? You are. Mion said it flat out. This didn't make any sense and that was really irritating. Now you know how I feel, Keiichi. When did I bother anybody? Mion was at a loss for words, but she finally made up her mind and spoke, though she stuttered as she said it. Because Kei-chan, that's someone else's bat. You shouldn't borrow it without permission. It was left behind by a student who transferred, right? I'm just borrowing it until he comes back for it. Huh? Ah, yeah, he transferred, sure. Mion grew uncharacteristically flustered. That made it all too clear that his transfer was a lie. But strange, isn't it? For the older brother to transfer by himself, while his little sister stayed behind. Dun-dun. Mion couldn't hide her reaction as my words shook her up. Kei-chan, you knew? Satoshi Hojo, Satoko's older brother, right? The one demoned away last year. Unable to respond to that, Mion fell silent. Rena asked the same thing. Why did you start swinging that bat? She told me Satoshi did the same thing, practicing his swings, right before he went missing. So, is this some kind of omen for Oyashiro-sama's curse? Shh! Mion panicked and looked around. Please, Kei-chan, don't mention Oyashiro-sama so recklessly. I don't believe in him, but the others very much do. Rena especially. Dangerously so. Anyway, you're scaring everyone. If you're just fooling around, then stop it. You have to stop acting like Satoshi. I was the one who was scared. Why do I have to... Who do I have to thank for taking up this bat in the first place? But it still unsettled me knowing that my actions were overlapping with Satoshi's. It would be one thing if someone suggested it, but I thought I was making my own decisions. You are just a sheep, Keiichi. I'll say this now. I don't know anything about Satoshi. After all, you didn't tell me anything about him. Oh! We didn't mean to hide it. You were hiding the incidents that happen every year, weren't you? Ah, that's because we didn't want to, You didn't want to scare me. That's your reason for leaving me out. No, we didn't mean to. Mion, I asked you directly if something happened at the dam, didn't I? And you told me nothing happened. When someone was dismembered and murdered, you lied to me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to lie to you. Friends don't hide things from each other, right? Isn't that right? Then you all aren't my friends. Kei-chan, Mion looked helpless and flustered. Was I imagining the tears in her eyes? I never could have imagined Mion acting like this. Oh, by the way, those get-well mochi you brought the other day. They were good. I thought I was going to bleed. Who did it? You? Or Rena? Me. She admitted it so easily. I couldn't help but be surprised at how easy it was. You could have killed me. How could you do that to a friend? But it was just a little prank. Needles in food is not a prank. That's murder. Mion gave me a wry smile mixed with confusion, causing even more anger to well up inside me. You think that was a prank? I grabbed Mion by the collar and lifted her up. Hey now. Violence is not the answer. That wasn't the same as putting Tabasco sauce in a piece of mochi. Yeah, that's a prank. It was a needle. A sewing needle. If I had swallowed that, and it lodged in my throat, what did she think would happen? Mion's face froze as her body rattled in fear. This wasn't the Mion Sonozaki I knew anymore. Anyways, you're not my friend. There's no reason for me to listen to someone who's not my friend. So just leave me alone for a while. Got it? Mion wasn't replying anymore. It won't be that easy to erase me, you know. The cops have been onto you from the start, so don't think you can make me disappear like you did Satoshi. I said it clearly. This was my declaration of war. I think you guys are suspects in the previous incidents too. I also know you've spent a lot of time with the cops ever since the anti-dam movement. Don't think you can hide it from me. Got that? How? How did you know? Mion stood there with a dumbstruck look on her face. That was when I heard the principal ringing the bell for school. It was time for morning homeroom. Let's go. The class representative needs to be there, right? At that moment, for the first time, I realized Mion was sobbing as tears ran down her cheeks. Aww. You're so mean, Kei-chan. I wanted to console her, but I shut my mouth. I had no need to feel guilty. I'm going. Don't be late for homeroom. I left Mion still shaking as I turned around to head for the entrance. I had no idea how troubling it was to make a girl cry. Behind my back, I could hear her muttering. It was a faint mutter as she was speaking to herself. Good job, Kei-chan, you made her cry. You bully. So that's how it is. Huh? She wasn't saying it to anyone. It was Mion talking to herself. But it was a sobbing voice that had a kind of giddy, cursing tone. What does that even mean? I inadvertently stopped and turned back towards her. So it was that bastard. He leaked it all to Kei-chan. She balled up her fists as her tears continued to rain down. She glared at a spot on the ground, with a terrifying, yet smiling face, cursing. A chill ran down my spine from that demonic expression. This transformation, Mion's transformation, was different from Rena's. I should have killed him back then. He forgot the mercy I showed him just because he was going to retire this year. Retiring this year? Was she talking about Oishi-san? Damn it. Damn it. I'm going to kill that damn old man. Roar! Yeah, you tell him. It felt like the air itself had begun distorting. With Mion at the center, the world had begun to twist and spiral. Uzumaki! Bending, whirling. This was the first time I'd experienced such a visage. Nice. I like when things actually happen. Rise! Attention! Kiritz! Mion made up an excuse for her red eyes by saying there was something wrong with her contacts. After that, neither Rena nor Mion spoke to me for the rest of the day. Deserved. Neither Satoko nor Rika-chan looked me in the eye. Deserved. Strangely, I didn't feel hurt. Everything had just went back to the way it was. The month since I transferred in had been almost too much fun. That was all. School was supposed to be something like this to begin with. No, it's not. I should have disliked that feeling, but today it felt oddly refreshing. The bell rung, sounding the end of the monotonous school day, which had felt so tense, yet so dull. Since it would cause a lot of unpleasant memories if they asked me to join into the club activities, I promptly started preparing to go home without even looking at them. I stuffed the contents of my desk into my bag, wrapped my hand around Satoshi's now familiar bat, and began heading towards the entrance. I was assailed by both the exhausting relief that nothing had happened today and the tiring possibility of the same thing repeating tomorrow. Yeah, that sounds like a terrible way to live. But deep down inside me, far beneath, in the recesses of my heart, achingly I knew this would be the last day of this cycle. I couldn't tell how the ending would be, whether it would end as I wished it to end, or if it would end as I hoped it wouldn't. Regardless, in my current state, there was something more important than how things would end. Random, but those mountains are pretty. I like them. There was something I wanted to know. Why did I have to be killed? How did it come to this? Why? For what purpose? The sunlight was relentless. The sun, the heat, even the air. They wouldn't give me my answers. Or could it be that the cries of the Higurashi were desperately trying to tell me something? I love that they didn't translate that. Somewhere mixed in with their shrieks, Tomitake-san and Satoshi were also probably trying to tell me something. Run, bro, run! I simply haven't been able to realize it yet. When I do realize it, I wonder if I will be amongst the Higurashi, fruitlessly crying to the next victim. Glancing down at my feet, I saw a Higurashi on its back, spasming weakly. Same. There was still much of the summer left, yet this one was already chirping its last song. I couldn't tell what it was saying, no matter how hard I listened. Well, yeah, it's a bug. But I had to try. No, it's a bug. I had to try to listen to what it was so desperately trying to tell me. Probably I'm dying. At that moment, the shrills of the Higurashi ceased all at once, as if they had huddled together, fearing that the person who'd brought them to their dreadful fate had arrived. There was no mistaking it. A presence was approaching. The sound of footsteps was almost non-existent. If the Higurashi hadn't warned me by ending their chirping, I wouldn't have noticed. My exhaustion left me in a heartbeat. In its place was a rush of adrenaline that sharpened all of my senses. I was just barely able to hold back that creeping, suffocating feeling of horror. It wasn't something I could hold back for long. But in this moment when I needed to be razor sharp, I was able to retain my composure. I wasn't going to shout like I did yesterday. I hid myself calmly amongst the trees, waiting for my pursuer's shadow. Could I get them to pass by me? No, since I was able to hear their footsteps, they were probably also able to hear mine. They might have already been able to tell that I'd hidden myself and was holding my breath. The person tailing me, was it Rena, just like yesterday? If it was Rena, I wouldn't hold back. I could just yell at her and make her go ahead like yesterday. If it wasn't Rena, it would depend on how they acted, I guess. The footsteps ambled closer. I swallowed, wiped my clammy hands on my pants, and readjusted the grip on the bat. I could tell that the fear that I had beaten back once was now waiting for another opening to come at me. Who could it be? I peeked out from behind the tree at the person following me. Uh-oh. My imagination hadn't led me astray. It was Rena. There was a bit of relief as I realized it was someone I knew, but that feeling left me in an instant. This wasn't the same Rena that I knew. Uh-oh. She's got the eyes. Her eyes were dark and lifeless, but her mouth appeared as if it was carved into a crescent. Yes, it looked like she was grinning slightly. And in her right hand was an axe. I hid myself behind the tree once again and recalled the unbelievable sight I just saw. What was that just now? The embodiment of terror, laid bare. Baseball, practicing my swing. There were tons of excuses for me to be carrying a bat. But for that axe, there was no excuse for that. An axe, just like that. Keiichi-kun, are you playing hide and seek, I wonder? My heart was pounding. Hard enough that I had trouble breathing. What little composure I had been able to hold on to was now crushed. In its place, cold sweat gushed forth, covering my entire body. That is a horrifying thing to imagine, letting me know precisely what kind of emotion had taken hold. Not good, not good, not good. I wasn't able to hide myself completely. She already knew I was here. Well, yeah, she was following you. Were you trying to scare me, I wonder? I decided that it would be better to reveal myself now, since there was still space between us, than allow Rena to come any closer. I adjusted my grip on the bat again, readied myself mentally, and stepped out from behind the tree. Ah ha 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 ha! I found you, Keiichi-kun. Rena was pleased that she found me, eliciting a mysterious giggle. Her mouth was smiling, but her eyes told me she was displeased by the fact that I had been hiding. Those eyes, they were just so empty. My legs began to quiver. Ugh, not good. In the pit of my stomach, some sort of viscous hot and cold substance began spreading around. Keiichi, that's gross. If I allowed it, that substance would slip into my bloodstream and undoubtedly freeze all the organs in my body. He certainly has a way with words. Not good, not good. I'll be devoured by Rena at this rate. You wish. Strike back. Don't lose. What is it? I blustered, hiding behind my bravado. Yes. But Rena didn't flinch one bit. Just the same as Keiichi-kun. I'm heading home. Then what about that axe? Then what about that bat you're holding? No, you. I'm practicing my swing. Then I'm treasure hunting. Got him. Lena gave a flippant explanation as to why she had such a fearsome weapon. Treasure hunting? At the treasure mountain near the dam site, I found a new cute thing. So I needed this to dig it out. Yeah, you tell him. How could I believe that? You wouldn't believe it, would you? Lena's laugh was obviously very strange. I'd seen Lena's transformation many times before, but the one today was completely different. Like her mischievous tone and the shrewd glint in her eyes. It wasn't something that roundabout. I'm not sure what to say, it was just so obvious. Wait, Keiichi-kun. Ah ha 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 ha. Lena didn't stop walking, even as she let out that eerie laugh. Yeah, you get him, girl. Whenever Lena got too close to me, I would scurry away and turn back towards her. This cycle repeated over and over. No matter how you looked at it, I was being chased by Lena and was trying to escape. Don't follow me. I can't do that. My house is this way after all. Yeah, you tell him. Ah ha 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 ha. When I met with Lena on this road yesterday, she cowered and trembled as she followed my commands. But today was different. Lena didn't show a hint of trepidation. Actually, wasn't I the one who was cowering? Oh, how the turns table. If the way home for Lena and me was the same, that's fine. I'd just change my route. That'd work out, wouldn't it? I turned onto a side street I'd never been down and knew little about. That seems the perfect way to go about this. But Lena saw me do that and followed me while laughing. Why? Why? Aren't you going home? Then just go home down the street you normally do. Why would you follow me down this weird little side road? Those thoughts screamed in my head, eventually spilling out of my mouth. Why are you following me? The tone of my voice was already tinged with terror. Because I want to talk to Keiichi-kun. Keiichi-kun wants to talk to Rena too, doesn't he? Doesn't he? I don't want to talk about anything with you. That's a lie, isn't it? There's something you want to ask me about, isn't there? Not at all. Have nothing to talk to you about. That's a lie, isn't it? It's not a lie. Usa! Lies! Yes, I love that face. Lena's scream echoed, startling some nearby birds into flight. I cringed in fear. The only other thing I could do was increase my pace. Let's talk, Keiichi-kun. Talk. Ah ha 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 ha. Why was I running down this unfamiliar and deserted street? Doesn't Keiichi-kun have something he's worried about? Nothing at all. I'm not worried about anything. Lies. Ha 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 ha. Even though I was running, even though Rena was walking, why wasn't I getting any further away? I know. I really do know. You're scared, aren't you, Keiichi-kun? I'm not scared. I'm not scared of anything. Lies. Ha 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 ha. Finally, some action. My breathing grew heavy and it felt like my legs were giving out from beneath me. Rena wasn't even breaking a sweat. I'll listen. This time, I'll listen. I had no idea what she was talking about or what exactly she wanted to do. This time, I'll listen. It will be different from the time with Satoshi-kun. When she said Satoshi's name, I turned back for a moment. But even as I did that, Rena was still advancing. I couldn't afford to stop. Satoshi-kun was worried too. It looked like he was having such a hard time. But I didn't listen. I was so sad. Where did this street connect to? All these twists and turns, ups and downs. It was hard to believe that this was even remotely in the direction towards my house. My sense of direction had long since gone out the window. I really regretted it when Satoshi-kun transferred out. I thought that if I had listened, he may not have transferred out. I really regretted that. Oh gosh, we're in the forest. The road led me deeper into the forest. Wasn't I getting further away from the village the more I ran? I lost more and more of my composure the more I thought about it. But despite this realization, my inner self was still disturbingly calm. So you see, I vowed that if there was someone struggling like Satoshi-kun did, I'd save them. I don't want to see anyone transfer out again. Ah ha 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 ha. Damn it. What does transfer even mean? I won't let you transfer me. I won't end up the same as Satoshi. Come on, Keiichi-kun. Talk to me. I'll be able to understand you, Keiichi-kun. I'm your ally. I started wheezing, out of breath. Same. My lungs were so hot that they felt like they were going to explode, and my heart was beating as hard as it possibly could. I should have practiced running instead of my swing. I couldn't even afford to scoff at that stupid thought. If Keiichi-kun doesn't have anything to worry about, he'll go back to normal. Everyone will be back to being friends, and we can enjoy club activities again. Next time we'll team up and beat Mii-chan. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, how much fun that would be. Rena couldn't even imagine how much I had wished I could turn back the clock on these past few days. You could be nice to me again too. I want to go searching for treasure again. This time I'll prepare a nice lunch. Actually, we could just go right now. Let's go up to the dam site together. I'll show you the cute thing I just found. I'm sure you'll like it too. Ah ha 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 ha. My footsteps made pathetic flapping sounds as my legs wobbled and faltered. Hot on my heels, Rena's steps were sharply breaking twigs underfoot. I had to accept it. I was on the run, being chased by Rena. If she caught me, it was all over. I realized it instinctively. I couldn't even begin to think of what the end would entail. Just that, if I was caught, it was all over. That's all I knew. It didn't matter how it was going to end. I wouldn't let it end. Not without knowing anything. Not yet. That momentary lapse was all it took. Of all the things that could have happened, my knees buckled underneath me and I crumbled towards the ground. I tried to stand frantically, urging my legs to respond. I used my bat as a makeshift cane to prop myself up, but Rena was already standing right in front of me. Compared to me, out of breath and utterly exhausted, Rena was so cool and composed that she could have froze the air around her. She wasn't breathing hard at all. Rather, I couldn't even sense if her heart was beating. Are you afraid of something, I wonder? It's not like you to tremble, Keiichi-kun. Ah ha 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 ha. Her expression looked almost affectionate. Those soulless eyes, that mask of affection. Uh-oh. As she admonished me for trembling, Rena's hands deftly slipped over her head. The blur of arms as they moved made me feel as if I was staring at the godliness of the 1,000-armed Buddha. That is once again a very strange description. Then, as both of her hands met above her head, the axe that she held came into focus. I stared up at it in disbelief. It was all I could do. Tell me, what happened to Satoshi? Rena stayed like that, with that axe raised above her head, and solemnly opened her mouth. It was as if she was expressing a farewell to a friend she was never to see again. That cruel scenario resided somewhere in her actions. I told you, Satoshi-kun transferred. Out. Enough of that transfer crap. It means demoned away, doesn't it? Doesn't it? You can tell me now, can't you? Who made Satoshi disappear? Was it you? Mion? Or someone in the village? Answer me! I became frantic the more I screamed, but Rena did nothing but maintain the smile frozen on her face. Uh-oh. I have no idea what Keiichi-kun is talking about. Then I'll say it in a way so you do. Who is the perpetrator of this chain of mysterious deaths? Oh, it's getting redder. You seem to be confused, Keiichi-kun. What? There is no human perpetrator. Everything is by Oyashiro-sama's will. Isn't Oyashiro-sama's curse just superstition? You believe in that too? It's not about believing or not. Oyashiro-sama exists. Period. Oh, it's getting redder. Rena's gaze grew even more. What's that word? Gelid? How am I supposed to pronounce that? The ferocity of her stare was so intense, not allowing me to question anything. There's just no way that something like Oyashiro-sama could exist. You don't believe in Oyashiro-sama? There's no way I could believe it. There's no way it could exist. It exists. Oyashiro-sama exists. Keiji-kun should have felt it personally. I never felt something like that. Keiji-kun, haven't you felt someone apologizing to you before? Constantly, on top of that. Uh-oh. All noise from the outside world disappeared. Only Rena's voice resounded, loudly and terribly. Alright, we're going to end this episode here. That's a nice little, somewhat cliffhanger to end on. So much finally happened in this one episode. It's amazing how good this story gets when there's no waffling. I love it. It's great. I hope you guys enjoyed it too, and come back next week and let's find out exactly what's going on. It's finally getting good. Alright, I'll see you guys then. See ya.